Hi everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Rads. Let's talk predictions today. Of course, the season is fast approaching, and it is obvious and just a formality that I do my Championship and Premier League predictions at the start of the season so I can look really stupid come the end of it. I'll be doing this for the Premier League next week when that starts, but the Championship starts this week. I've been fortunate enough the last few seasons now to support a Premier League team, and obviously as a Forest fan I'm more than used to talking and looking at the Championship because we were there for quite some time. I just hope we're not there anytime soon. Just to say, at the time of recording we are quite literally 5 subscribers away from 6,000. It may even have been hit by the time we watch this, but you know, that's quite significant. So if you could subscribe, and this video might attract some different fans of course, then please do us a favour, that would be fantastic. 24th place, I'm sorry to be boring, but I'm going to have to put Oxford United here. To be honest, I don't know as much about Oxford as I would do about some of the clubs in this division, but having looked at their squad and their transfer business, I do actually quite like the look of some of the players that they've got in this team. I mean, they have lost Josh Murphy, brother to Jacob, of course. I just feel it's pretty standard stuff, but they may just lack quality, honestly. When it comes to their manager, Des Buckingham, he's only been there half a season, and that is his only experience of English football, and now he's in the Championship. Is that going to be an issue for him? I mean, we'll see. Quite a lot of new signings, and you need a lot of know-how and experience in the Championship, and I just don't think they have it. 23rd place. I'm sorry to jump on the bandwagon of hating Wayne Rooney, but I'm going to have to say Plymouth Argyle. It isn't just because Rooney's there and his record in England isn't great. And I think bearing that in mind, honestly, I'm going to actually give Rooney the benefit of the doubt here. He was in 2 of the most chaotic situations you could possibly be in. He was with Derby, who were very much on the brink of not existing, and then Birmingham, they're just an absolute car crash. With Plymouth, it's a lot more stable, and that could actually maybe help Rooney a lot. Are you just going for the name, or are you really going for his managerial skills? I'm not sure about that. But more importantly, last season, their form in general when Steven Schumacher left was pretty awful, and it was just a downward spiral, and they just about managed to stay up on the last day of the season. I've been quite fortunate not to have to talk about Derby County the last couple of years because we've been in the Premier League and they've been in League One, so even when I do this Championship prediction video, I haven't even spoken about them. It's been great, it really has. They do have a manager that's used to the Championship in Paul Wayne, however, he absolutely has a terrible record in the Championship of getting relegated, so that isn't really a good omen if you ask me. Ben Osborne, Jerry Yates signing, that's actually pretty good business. Hate the fact that Ben Osborne's there now, but it actually makes sense given the fact that he is from Derby or has Derby in his family. I just feel if they were to stay up, it would be at the expense of quite a bold prediction, because I've put in 21st place Stoke City. This might be a bit bold because Stoke always are at the bottom end of the table, but never quite in relegation worry. Last season, though, I feel it was the closest they have come to that. They just continuously stink the place out. If we look at their last few finishes, it is beyond underwhelming. Their transfer business is just okay. I mean, Ben Gibson's been in the Championship for years, but always been a bit inconsistent at Norwich. They've signed Rotherham's goalkeeper, who was by far their best player probably last season in a woeful team. And Sam Gallagher, who got 3 goals last season for Blackburn, doesn't make for good reading in my opinion. And Steven Schumacher didn't really have the impact that I think many expected, but it is Stoke. 20th, this is a club that really shouldn't be this low, but I'm going to have to say Blackburn Rovers. This is a club that for a long time has been rather unstable. Blackburn, a couple of seasons ago, were coming 8th and 7th, and last season they came 20th and stayed up on the final day. And they only really stayed in the division because of Sammy Smodics, who they could lose. How do they replace his 27 league goals in 44 games? They're not going to. They're not going to replace that in the same way, at the very least. I just feel that downward spiral may very well continue, and it's sad because Blackburn really shouldn't be struggling at the bottom end of the Championship. 19th place, Portsmouth, of course, the only promoted club that I'm really showing any faith in at all, if I'm honest. I don't really want to just say they're all going to get relegated or be in relegation battles, but I want to kind of play it safe, if I'm honest. Go back 4 years and this channel was a FIFA Career Mode channel, and I did a save with Portsmouth, so anyone that remembers that, probably no one, then, you know, fair play. They only lost 5 games last season in League One, which it's got to bode well. You know, that could be good momentum for them. And I think a club the size of Portsmouth being back in the Championship, there'll be that good feel-good factor at the club, and that might very well propel them on, and they can maybe stay up. And I just feel they have at least more to be excited about than the likes of Blackburn and Stoke, and arguably some clubs that I put above them. Yes, Portsmouth probably are going to lack quality at times, and it may hit them at first being back in the Championship and being at this level, but I do feel they have a lot more to be excited about than a lot of teams in this league at the moment. 18th, a real regression for Watford, in my opinion. This is where they're going to finish, around about this area of the table. I settled on 18th because last season they came 15th and they only won 4 games in the whole of the second half of the season. That's not good. Now I'm going to make the very common joke of Watford firing managers left, right and centre, but it is very true. They do fire managers all the time, and I don't know how you can possibly thrive when you're constantly changing the guy in charge. And, you know, now it's currently Tom Cleverley, a complete rookie manager. How long is he going to get? That's the question. It's not only, oh, he's a rookie, he's got to learn very much on the job. He's also not going to get the opportunity, is he? He's just not. And honestly, just looking at their squad, it is a shadow of what it used to be. It's not a team with parachute payments anymore. It's not a team that looks like it was in the Premier League 3 seasons ago. It's a very tired looking squad. And granted, I don't watch them all the time, right? But it isn't what it was. It's pretty clear. 17th, another club that really has ended up declining again in Swansea City. Luke Williams, of course, in charge from Notts County last season and didn't do anything too spectacular. Obviously, a big jump up for him, having already been at Swansea previously, of course. But last season with Michael Duff there as well didn't work in the slightest. And I felt with Swansea, when it was just starting to click with Russell Martin, he leaves and that just kills it for them. They were just starting to get somewhere with him, I feel. I do feel they've just become a very inconsistent Championship club, and from where they were under a certain Steve Cooper, it's a real regression for Swansea. In 16th, I've gone with Cardiff City, the other Welsh team in the Championship. I did have these a few places higher initially because I've thought some changes about so many times as you'd expect, and I just settled on them being a bit lower simply because they are so inconsistent. And if you're in mid-table, I mean, it's not really a surprise, is it? You're going to be inconsistent. But Cardiff, it stands out to me. Last season, they beat Ipswich and Southampton, who are now in the Premier League, but they lose 5-2 to Rotherham. I actually do like to look at their transfer business. Callum Chambers, El Ghazi and Chris Willock. I think that's really good business, honestly. Some very experienced players at a much higher level. But I don't know, I just feel they could come higher than this, I'll be honest. I think they could come 13th, 14th, honestly. But I just feel with the other clubs that I put ahead of them, I felt that they were more deserving, honestly, of being above them. Now, I think Cardiff genuinely probably do have a bit more excitement than Preston. But Preston always tend to be in and around this area of the table, 10th to 15th. And I've got them to drop off 5 places here. Again, I did initially have Preston 11th in these predictions, but I just looked at their squad and I thought, I'm not sure why I should put them 10th again or 11th, because I think the clubs I've put above them have more to be excited about and more promise and potential, whereas Preston just always is just there, and it's a safe place to be. You know, it is very safe. You're not in danger of relegation. You're not going to go up. You'd rather be that than be getting relegated, right? But it's also just a bit flat, isn't it? Wouldn't be surprised at all, okay, if they were to be 10th, 11th again, but I am going to have them drop off just a little bit. Partly because of clubs like QPR being significantly more exciting now this season, because QPR were one of the miracle stories of last season. They were in a really difficult place at one stage last season, and Martí Fuentes, I've definitely said that wrong, he was a saviour for them, an absolute saviour, really galvanising the club and that squad. Of course, Steve Cook and Jackie Cole back there, of course. That's the reason why they're going to get a few places higher, obviously. So I feel they could definitely progress, and I honestly was going to put them a bit higher, but I wanted to just maybe be a little bit more safe. So I hope for their sake they do better, because I feel there's a lot that they could go in their favour. 13th, and again, it's weird, when I was doing my initial predictions, this club was actually a lot lower. But I put Sunderland in 13th place, the youngest squad in the league. They've been the youngest, one of the youngest teams for a while now, but they officially are this season. I mean, last season was terrible. They lost Tony Mowbray, then appointed Mick Beale, then had an assistant coach. It just was all a complete mess, and it all kind of fell apart having reached the playoffs. They came 10 places lower, and I'm not really sure where they go from there. Are they going to drop off more? Are they going to rise back up again? Are they going to stabilise? I've kind of gone for that option. I put them up by 3 places. 12th place, Hull City. Of course, a bit of a drop off for them. Fabio Carvalho being on loan, he's now left, and Jacob Greaves and Liam Delap have left to join Ipswich. Big losses there. Are they going to replace them? They could easily come lower as a result of losing those players. Also, as a result of losing a lot of players, the smallest squad in the league with West Brom, with only 20 players. Ryan Giles and Cody Drama, good signings, but yeah, I just feel they might drop off a bit. 11th, a really big jump for this team, Sheffield Wednesday. Just like QPR, arguably more an absolute miracle story of last season. Danny Rowe was a miracle worker, honestly, and comes across really well and got the absolute best out of a squad that looked dead and buried, a club that looked dead and buried. They've still got issues with their ownership. Chansiri continues to be an issue for them, and he will still be an issue for them. But I just feel Danny Rowe is very much papering over the cracks, which isn't great, but I do feel let's just focus on the football, and it's working very well for them right now, right? 9 new signings, and for a club that were struggling last season to stay in the league, honestly, some really impressive signings. Jamal Lowe, very experienced player in the Championship and even the Premier League. Nathan Chalobah and Max Lowe, ex-Forest players, by the way. Lowe's played for Forest, Derby, Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday. He is a very brave man. A very brave man. Maybe it's a bit steep putting them 11th, but I feel, why not? If you look at the squads below them, you know, Preston being a bit dull, Blackburn being in a bit of trouble, Stoke being Stoke, you know, Watford being a bit dull, Swansea being a bit dull now. Those clubs are more experienced than Wednesday, but Wednesday are looking a lot more promising, and I feel that goes a long way. 10th place, I feel they're going to kind of get back to where you'd expect this club to be more typically. Millwall in 10th place. They struggled quite a lot last season, having missed out on the playoffs on the last day like they did, which was pretty terrible. Neil Harris returned and they completely rallied last season and ended up coming quite a few places higher than where they spent most of the season, in 13th place. They've only lost 3 players as well, so not that many, and that is including their goalkeeper Starkic, which was a tragic situation for him to obviously pass away. Keeping Tanganga as well, he was on loan last season. Macaulay Langstaff from Notts County, an incredible record at Notts. Can he make the step up to the Championship? I actually think he could, with the amount of goals he got for Notts. It was a very impressive number. 9th place, Norwich City. This is a club that made the playoffs last season and got absolutely humiliated against Leeds. And they've now got, again, another team with an unproven manager in England. It seems like a lot of clubs are trying to do that, having seen it work so well with Cifuentes and Danny Rowe. I generally feel that is actually a reason why clubs do that now. Norwich should be in and around the playoffs again, in my opinion, but considering that they have just lost Gabriel Sarr, they could be about to lose Johnny Rowe. Massive losses. Are they going to be able to replace them, even with the money they're going to get for them? Not sure about that. They could still lose Adam Eder as well to Celtic permanently. So, yeah, that's not great when it comes to that. Incoming's nothing too spectacular, and I feel they probably should sign a few more, definitely with players leaving as well. 8th place might surprise you, but I've put Bristol City. I just feel they have improved slowly but surely season on season, and you know, they could easily come 14th. This is what Bristol City do. They're very inconsistent, but with an awful lot of potential. That's what I always look at Bristol City as, and last season I feel they were particularly impressive at times. 11th place in the end, they could have definitely come higher. Had some good impressive results, pretty good account of themselves in the FA Cup, including playing against Forest, where they were arguably quite unlucky not to beat us, I must say. I don't think they're necessarily as strong as Norwich, but I do feel they're probably more stable than Norwich, having not really lost any key players and still have really the core of that group still there. And you do see, looking at their historical finishes, they've improved the last few seasons every time by quite a stretch. Still got basically all their key players, really. I'm a bit surprised they let go of Weimann. Maybe it's a bit of a a long-term thinking one. He's 32, so let go of him. Probably that. They're looking quite good, and I feel they could do better this season. In 7th, I've got a club that could definitely make the top 6, but I've gone for Middlesbrough. I mean, I don't want to be rude here to Middlesbrough, but I kind of feel that they're slowly becoming a bit overrated, because every season they're tipped to go up and even be automatics, and every season they just fall short or underwhelm. Last season, having made the playoffs the season before, they came back into it and had a big hangover. They ended up getting a very respectful finish in the end in 8th place, which shows that their true quality was a lot better than what they were showing in the early stages of last season. It's kind of a last chance saloon really for Michael Carrick, in my opinion, at Middlesbrough to get them into the playoffs. He's a good manager, but is it the last chance for him when it comes to being at Borough? Maybe. In 6th place, West Brom. They were a bit disappointing when it came to the playoffs in the end against Southampton, but overall pretty encouraging for them to get back in there, because the last couple of seasons before it they were rather poor for their standards. They've let go of 13 players, so another club that have had a bit of a clear out. Noticeably, Thomas Asante, Connor Townsend, Cedric Capri have also left the club. Paddy McNair has joined, a very experienced player at this level. Carlos Corbehan as well, very experienced manager, but he seems to be allergic to actually winning the playoffs. He has made the playoffs a number of times now with 2 different clubs and, yeah, hasn't won them. I feel they'll be there or thereabouts. They could miss out, they could come higher. I think they'll definitely be in the promotion picture for sure. Sheffield United, they were utterly tragic last season in the Premier League, but in the Championship they always seem to be there when it comes to the promotion picture. Callum O'Hare's a very good signing, and honestly, I didn't realise they made some of these signings until I looked at their transfer business. Sam McCallum, Jamie Shackleton, Kiefer Moore, Harrison Burrows. I think that's unbelievable business. Some really good signings there, very experienced at this level. Also players making a bit of a jump up as well. Yeah, I think there's made some really good signings that were much needed. Despite the business, of course, they may have a bit of a hangover from being so tragic and just not winning games hardly last season, and being, well, they conceded over 100 goals. Might be a bit of a slow burner for them, but I feel eventually they can get playoffs like they did the last time they got relegated. They started slow and got into the top 6. 4th place. I've seen a lot of people put this team first, but I've put Leeds United in 4th. I just feel they've lost their 2 best players, or certainly 2 of their best players, in Archie Gray and, of course, Crescencio Somerville. Outstanding name. Again, another team with a big clear out, 17 players out, a lot of them not really players that are going to affect them. Keeping Joe Rodon, though, is a very big boost. Jordan Bogle as well, and Rothwell, very experienced signings at this level. So, yeah, I think that's good, but Leeds just always feel like they're a few games away from utter turmoil, and having lost their two of their best players, I'm not too sure about Daniel Farke either. I don't think Leeds fans are either. They should absolutely be able to get automatics, 100%, but I'm just going to kind of play it a little bit safe, if I'm honest. 3rd place, you may have realised that I haven't said Coventry City yet. I've put Coventry high. I'm putting very, very much, a lot of faith in Cov, because I just really like them. I really like what they're about. I like the project, I like the squad and the manager, and they've had a real upward trajectory the last few seasons. Every season improving more and more, reaching the playoff final. They really suffered last season at the start of it. They really picked up and could have easily got the top 6 again. Maybe again, a bit like some clubs, they don't have the same quality as a Leeds or a Sheffield United, possibly, but I feel at the very least top 6 is a real possibility for Cov, and I just feel, why not? Let's be bold, let's put them 3rd. Leeds, there's massive pressure there. Like I say, always a bit chaotic. Sheffield United, always a bit chaotic, a lot of pressure to return. Coventry, it's a bit of a bonus if they were to get promoted, so there's less pressure. And I've put Luton in 2nd place. They've kept the majority of their squad intact, which I think could go a very long way. They've only really lost Ross Barkley and Osho. I've said that wrong. How can I say a 4-word name wrong? Only I could do that. But a lot of people said last season they're signing players as, a hope that it's good enough to keep them in the Premier League, but would be, some of the best players possible in the Championship. And that's what's happened. They've got relegated, they've kept the majority of the squad, and it's a squad that now looks more than capable of coming straight back up. Only real signing, honestly, that is noticeable is Baptiste coming in from Brentford. I mean, that's a very good signing in the Championship. On top of, like I say, keeping majority of their squad intact, that absolutely should be capable of coming straight back up. Maybe it might hit them being back in the Championship. They've reached such a high, it might hit them a bit, but I think second is more than achievable. The first place, I'm going to go for Burnley. Scott Parker now in charge, Vincent Kompany left. Parker, I don't think he's a very good manager in the Premier League, but in the Championship, he's probably one of the best. I don't think he's anything too spectacular, honestly, but like I say, second tier, he's got promoted twice out of this division with Fulham and with Bournemouth. I feel Burnley, towards the end of the season, they look better than Luton. If they played like they did towards the end of the season, for all of the season, they could have stayed up, honestly. It is quite a young squad, as we saw last season in the Premier League, but I feel maybe first is wrong. Maybe I should put Leeds first, maybe I should put Luton first. But I'm going to put faith in Burnley to come straight back up. Last time they were in the Championship, they were one of the best teams in it, but of course a very, very different team to that team that came up initially. Right, that was my Championship predictions for the 24-25 season. Please don't kill me in the comments if you disagree with this, because it's a very difficult thing to do. And it's just a bit of fun, really, isn't it? So stay tuned to future videos. Of course, I'll be doing this to the Premier League next week, so stay tuned to that. Like and subscribe to Rads, of course, if you are new, and that would be greatly appreciated. And I'll see you soon. Thank you.